Creating the perfect company from the organizational experts, Multiview Incorporated. This content is based on MVI's work with over 1,300 organizations, extracting 989 data elements with 922 cross-calculations over 27 years on a monthly basis, and then systematizing the operational success patterns of the 90th percentile. Our intent is to get beyond the brag and the boast, and simply share insights from our experience without manipulation or coercion to sell anything, except helpful ideas. These messages range from intimate recordings from the Awakened Forest to concerts, national conferences, and broadcasts.
Hello and welcome to Multiview World Headquarters in beautiful Hendersonville, South Carolina. We're in the bowels of our building here, the song stage. And thank you for joining us for Directional Correctness for the Aspirational Hospice. That's quite a mouthful, isn't it? We've got a raucous studio audience here with us today. Back in the back, I've got old Alex and new Alex. New Alex is surprisingly older than old Alex, but let's not get into that. Long story short, old Alex is running the audio video. New Alex is in the crowd. L. Troy is back in the back as well. He'll be typically pretty quiet. And then we've got Bernie over on the computer if we've got any questions as time goes on. Again, very honored to have you all take the time today to come and join us for this talk. I'm very excited about it. Possibly a little nervous. I had just 30 minutes ago, someone here asked me if I was ready, and I said at this point it doesn't really matter because it's happening. And so here we are, it's happening now. But just by joining this webinar today, you have self-identified yourself as an aspirational hospice, that wants to be great. And that's really the first step as far as making use of anything we have here to offer at Multiview. In fact, aspiring is the unskippable first step of becoming great. I just made up that line. I'm pretty excited I got it in. Okay, so as you know, this is a live event. So as I'm speaking to you now, this is actually happening now as you're hearing me. And I know it may not make you nervous, but it does make me a little nervous because we don't really know what's going to happen. We don't even have a delay switch. If I say something off color or whatever, that you're going to hear that. So this is an exciting event for me, and hopefully it won't be too exciting for you except for the knowledge that we're able to impart. If you do see this slide come up, please stand by. I would give us a little time. It could be a technical difficulty. It could be me freezing up on stage. It could be a number of things. If you give it about a minute and that's still up there, I would just pretty much sign off and go back to work because that means something's happened and things didn't work out quite as we had hoped. But we're not expecting that to happen. We expect things to go well. I think there's going to be a valuable use of your next hour, an empowerment hour, and looking forward to sharing with you during this time. So let's get to it. All right, this is a slide I made early in my career with Multiview. It says, teaching a bunch of stuff you already know. I've never used this slide before, but I always thought it was a great slide because early when I was working with Multiview and I was talking to people about what we do, I always found that the people who got most excited about what we teach at Multiview were the people who've been doing hospice for a very long time. The experienced clinical managers, the experienced case managers, the experienced CEOs. When they start hearing what we're teaching at Multiview, they get excited. And that used to get me excited because I said, boy, we must really be on the right track, that these folks who really know hospice understand that what we're teaching is good. So what we're teaching at Multiview is really a bunch of stuff that you already know through experience and working within the field. This is a lot. You wonder why you need to hear stuff that you already know. It's just like when you go to these conferences and they'll have a motivational speaker there for you. And you'll just watch people, and this motivational speaker will be up there giving his talk, and everybody's just writing the stuff down, and they're nodding like crazy, and everybody agrees. And the reason that they agree is because it's obvious, common sense stuff. hey, if you have a positive attitude, things might go better for you. If you have an attitude of gratitude, that might be a good way to live life. It's all stuff we all know, and we know it's true. Why do we have to be reminded of it every year at the annual conference? And why does it seem new to us every time? Well, it's just like, why do we go to church every Sunday? Why do we go to church this week and go back the next week and hear the exact same thing? Basically, because in between last Sunday and this Sunday, life happens. And we deal with people, and we deal with all the things of life that end up taking our attention away from what's important and what's real and what works and what's true. So that's what this one's all about, teaching a bunch of stuff you already know. Okay, today at Multiview, we promote using your entire brain, both your left brain and your right brain, both sides of your brain. We're all for that. But I will say, as you know, left brain is more your logical, analytical side. Right brain is more your feeling and emotional side. Today's presentation, just to set expectations, today's presentation is going to be primarily on the right brain side. As Andrew would say, the squishy side. So if you came to this talk ready to work into some spreadsheets or crunch some numbers, that will not be happening today. We have other people who can do that for us, and some of them are sitting in the crowd back there right now, but that's not today's talk. Today's going to be more of the stuff, foundational, philosophical type of things, and that sort of stuff. Okay, here is a picture. Is this a picture of Andrew Reed in 20 years? Is this an artist's rendering of where Andrew will be in 20 years? No, this is obviously a picture of Albus Dumbledore. I have Albus Dumbledore in my presentation today because back in January, I got some odd illness that made me lie on the couch for a week. And as I was lying on the couch, I tried to decide what I should do with my time. Randomly, I decided to watch every single Harry Potter movie, start to finish, in order. And I did that. Obviously, I was a little behind the times. I had never watched any of these movies before. I was texting my daughters in between times saying, hey, I don't feel good about this Snipe fellow, or things like that. And they'd be saying, Dad, stop bothering us. That went on 10 years or however many years ago Harry Potter was. But there is some wisdom in Harry Potter. And so I have here a quote from Albus Dumbledore that I want to share with you that I think is a good foundation for what we're going to talk about today. He said he was talking to Harry in his dorm at the end of one of the school years, and he was encouraging him. He said, difficult times lie ahead, Harry, and we must all face the choice between what is right and what is easy. And I thought this was like the greatest quote. This idea, you think he's going to say right and wrong, good and bad, that sort of thing, but he said, the choice between what is right and what is easy. And this is kind of the base slide for today's presentation. It's the idea of, are we going to do what's right, or are we going to take the easy path? We want to take you on the road less traveled, the road up that mountain to extraordinary. As you can see, this is a slide that I self-created using ChatGPT. It's the first time I ever asked ChatGPT to do anything for me. And it worked out pretty good. I couldn't get him or whatever he is to make the left road wider. But all in all, this makes a good point of the point we're trying to make. You may ask yourself, hey, if you've got a graphics professional like Bernie Bullock in the building, actually in the cube next to you, why would you not have him knock out a slide such as this? And that is a good question, because Bernie is tremendous at what he does. But I will tell you that if you send a graphics idea to a graphics guy, it's almost the same as sending a contract to a lawyer. He's going to mess with it. He's going to do his own little thing with it, and I just couldn't have that. So I decided to do it on my own. That's why this may look a little bit rudimentary. At any rate, as you can see here, the question is, are we going to take the road that's right, or the road that's easy? As you can see to the left, the herd and the average, if you do what's easy, that's pretty much where you're pretty much guaranteed to end up as a hospice organization. You're going to be average. But if you go to the right, and notice the double meaning, the right path is to the right here, and head up the mountain, that's where extraordinary is found, okay? And that's what this is all about, and that's what today's presentation is about. And that's that path is the path that the MVI model will take you on. This is the way to break away from the herd and to set yourself apart. I have this slide. This is an extra slide, really. I just wanted to use the word eschew. It says eschew the easy button. And to eschew just means to deliberately avoid hitting the easy button. We're not going to take the easy way. We're not going to end over there with all of the masses on the left. We're going to go to the top, to that 5-star experience, and have an extraordinary organization. Okay, oops, this is an accidental slide of sorts. This is actually my grandson Fischer, but as a grandfather, I do have the rights to squeeze one of these into every conversation, so there he is. And I just like to show this to let you know that there is hope for the future, folks. Look at the little guy. I mean, he's full of dreams and Lord knows what else. Okay, so now we have finally reached what is actually my first slide. This is the slide I typically will use first when I'm talking to clients or non-clients or just telling them about Multiview. I made this up very early in my career with Multiview, just so you know. First of all, did I remember to introduce myself? I'm Jim Fischer. I'm the Directional Correctness Encourager here at Multiview. And I've been doing this for about 5 years. Prior to that, I used to work for a pharmacy benefit manager that used to and I called on hospices for about 7 years in the Southeast United States. And as I was doing that, I obviously had the chance to visit a whole bunch of hospice organizations, meet a whole bunch of folks in hospice. It's a fantastic field to be in. There's very few things in the world where 98% of the people who are doing what they're doing are so passionate about what they do as the folks in hospice, and I loved that. But I would go into certain organizations and I would randomly or organically hear about Multiview. I'd hear about this little company that seemed to be making a big difference, and I always got the feeling when I was in these particular organizations that they had you know how you go into certain places, you get a good feeling? I was getting that a lot. So after I got a little bit tired of the drug or pharmacy business, I said to myself, I'm going to get with that little company up there in Hendersonville, North Carolina, and see if I might be able to make an impact through them. And that's kind of how I got here. I called up, I got to go have an interview with Andrew. I wore a sport coat that day. He was wearing a huge knife. I was underdressed in some ways, but we had a good conversation, and at the end he said he thought it would be groovy. So I went home and told my wife I was going to quit my other job and I was going to go work for this little company up the road, Multiview. And she said, well, what did he actually say? I said, he said it would be groovy. And she said, I think you better get something in writing. So at any rate, that's not really how things do work here. I mean, groovy did turn out to work and I did get hired. I will say at that time, it was right at the beginning of COVID. This was March of 2020. And Andrew said, let's wait till COVID blows over and then you can start. He determined COVID was over on May 5th, 2020, and that's when I started. Of course, COVID had just started on May 5th. He's not right about everything. He is an expert in hospice and organization and standards and accountability, but I was happy to get started at that time, and that's kind of how I started at Multiview. And that's why I wanted to be here, is because imagine the exponential impact of an extraordinary hospice. A lot of times when I'm meeting a hospice organization or leader for a first time, I'll ask them, what's your census? And they'll say, oh, we're small, we're 25, we're 40, we're small, we're 200. Everybody has their own perspective of what small is or what their size of their hospice is. But no matter what size of hospice you have, you are making a huge impact. Because even if your census is 25 today, that's not just 25 people that you're impacting. It's each of those people has family associated with them, friends associated with them. And because of that, every bit of care and everything you do right and good for that person ripples out through a large number of folks. So your impact is much greater than your census and much greater than you'll ever really know as well. So I love thinking of it this way. I also think that if your organization is such that people are excited to go there and feel like they're doing good work, they're going to take that good feelings and everything home to their families. That's going to spread out into their world. So The thing I love about the opportunity to work with Multiview and to maybe help each organization we work with get a little better at what they do, or even a little better, we like them to get way better, but just every little good we do has a great impact in the world, and we probably will never know how much that is. We'll never understand that. That's why it always reminds me of the movie, the beautiful old movie, It's a Wonderful Life. Of course, this is an old movie. I know some of you youngsters may not have ever seen it, but Alex himself has seen it, and he's a youngster, and he knows the point of It's a Wonderful Life. Basically, George Bailey lived a life, and he did a lot of stuff, and it turns out that when he looked back on his life, he saw, wow, there's a lot of stuff that I did that turned out that had a huge impact on the world, and that's exactly what we see the opportunity we have to do in hospice as well, and that's why we are honored here at Multiview to be able to work with you. We sit here in this spot, and we get to work with hospices all across the country in almost every state. And any little thing we can do to help you get even a little bit better, that's a great, great impact. Okay, at Multiview, we start out every meeting with 3 questions. These 3 questions, if you've listened to any talk that Andrew's ever given, he usually will go through these. They're important. Because they stop us before we get into the business of the day and help remind us a little bit of the things that are important to us, the things that are foundational to why we're doing what we're doing here at Multiview. We also think these 3 questions work great at the beginning of a IDG meeting, a way to start before you get into going through the patients and going through all that, to actually stop and say, hey, here's some stuff we need to remind ourselves of. So that's what these are about. I had Alex once use the term a mental speed bump, which I think is a great example of, hey, we're all running in here, it's time for the meeting, let's get going, but wait. First, we're going to ask these 3 questions. So at our meeting on Thursday mornings, whoever's in charge will get up there and they'll say, what am I? And everybody together will say,
a feeling.
That's some good audience participation there. A feeling. Now, the first week you're here, or the first time you go to one of these meetings and that happens, you immediately think you've joined some sort of a cult, because it's a very peculiar thing for everybody to say a feeling, and all together like that. But over time, you start to understand, okay, here's why we do it. Because the thing you do after you ask, after you find out you are a feeling, then we ask, what do you mean by that? Okay, so Alex, for example, what do we mean when we say, I am a feeling?
It's that feelings are the basis of all memory and recall.
Exactly. This is reminding us that feelings are real and they're important, and they're the basis of all memory and recall. And for this particular one, Andrew he often uses the example of, where were you when you heard the news of 9/11? And that's a great example, a universal thing that everybody can relate to. Well, I say everybody can relate to. The other day I was talking to a new finance director at a hospice who turns out he was only 2 years old at that time. So we're starting to age out of that example where everybody can remember it. But anyway, everybody can go back immediately and say, this is where I was when I heard the news of 9/11, because it struck them in such an emotionally powerful way. And I think that's a great example, obviously, because it's universal. But I think the thing that's really interesting about this particular question is, what about those things that you remember from when you were small, or when you were young, or something a sentence somebody said to you that you remember to this day that struck you so strongly that you can still remember it? And that's good or bad. Good or bad feelings are the things that can be generated. We were celebrating my mom's 90th birthday last August, not this August, but the August past, and she was reminiscing, and had a lot of great memories she was telling us about, and she was telling us about her very nice 3rd grade teacher. And then she said, but Miss Perry, the 4th grade teacher, was the meanest teacher. And she told us this story about Miss Perry bringing her little friend, Jerry Lynn, into their classroom, and in front of the whole class telling that other teacher that Jerry Lynn was not smart enough to be in 4th grade, and she was being moved down. And my mom is relating this to us, almost word for word, what Miss Perry said. Over 80 years later, she remembered those words. What a legacy Miss Perry left And I wonder if my mom was the only little kid who still remembered that. But it definitely impacted my mom enough. So it's not just the big things that happen, it's also a smile at the right time. Those types of things are also can be the things that really impact people enough that they're going to remember it. And that's important to know because it kind of adds a certain amount of importance to every interaction that we have with others. Okay, the next question, what do you see yourself as? What do we say?
A teacher.
The studio audience is doing quite well so far. Thank you, everybody. A teacher. And Bernie, what do we mean by that? I'm calling on Bernie. He's got a microphone.
Being a teacher means I'm a replicator.
Yes. Okay, a replicator. This is the idea that people are watching what we do and that they are, and that we have an opportunity to impact people in how we do things. Now there's a second thing to this particular one that has to do with hospice specifically, but we're going to talk about that a little later when we get into some of the other parts of the presentation. But what do you see yourself as a teacher? The example I have for this one is I used to work for a big paper company, and I was getting a tour from the new mill manager at the big paper mill that I was going to be the sales guy for, and he was showing me around, and he stopped in the middle of the tour and he went over and picked up some trash. This is a huge industrial site. He picked it up and he threw it away, and he came back over to me and he said, you know, I'm the new mill manager here. And because of that, people are watching me. They're watching me to see how do we do things. So if I walk by a piece of trash like that, that is going to tell people that that's okay, that that's our standard. He said, but if they see me stop and pick that up, they know in their mind, hey, we don't walk by that sort of thing. So this fella, Walter Brunson was his name, Walter was kind of already illustrating this idea back then, that the times that if you see yourself as a teacher, you have an opportunity at all times to kind of set an example to model the behavior you hope to see in others. And that's a great thing as well. So anyway, what do you see yourself as a teacher? Again, we've got some other things later that we're going to talk about how this specifically relates to hospice. But anyway, that's a good, it seems like I had one more thing to say about Walter though. Can't think of it. Anyway, if I remember it, we'll get back to it. Okay, our third question is, what day is, I remember the thing about Walter. It's obvious why why as a leader of an organization you need to understand that you're a teacher, but you also need to understand that no matter where you are in the organization, everybody has the opportunity to be a teacher. If a group of folks are around the water cooler and they start complaining or blame shifting or gossiping or going negative about something, any one of those people has an opportunity to be a teacher and turn things in a good direction. And it is funny to see when you see people going down a bad path and somebody just coming in and wrecking it by saying something, hey, is this really something you guys want to talk about? Let's get more positive here. It's a great thing. So everybody has the opportunity to be a teacher. This is not just for the leadership of the organization. Okay, the last question, which is the most surprising one of all, what day is today?
The best day of my life.
The best day of my life is correct. Good job again. And of course, this is when you first hear this one, you're thinking to yourself, as you do it the first couple weeks, you're thinking, yeah, I hope today will be the best day of my life. But a lot of stuff's going to have to go my way. I'm going to need some nice people to come my way, possibly win the lottery, all the things that might happen to make this day a good day. And that actually is not what this is about at all. When we say the best day of my life, Troy, what do we mean by that when we say the best day of my life?
It has to do with accountability.
It has totally to do with accountability. I don't know if y'all could hear Troy back there, but he knew it. Accountability is just taking ownership of your day without blaming others or circumstances, okay? So that's why this is exciting. Now the way I got my, I pumped my, anyway, it doesn't matter. Long story short, the way I wrap my mind around this one now, and now understanding that this isn't about what happens to me, this is about taking ownership of my day no matter what happens to me. I think about, the best day, and when you think about at the end of your life, and whoever rates best days, whoever is up there rating best days, I think you're going to find that some of your very best days of your life are actually days where you faced some of the most difficult circumstances or dealt with some of the most difficult people, but you did it in the best possible way. And with that idea, that means every day literally can be the best day of your life, and it's up to you. It doesn't matter. In fact, those days where you have stuff happen, that's just more opportunity. So that's what I like about these three questions. The first two questions kind of remind us that we're not living in a vacuum. That with every interaction, we have an opportunity to impart a feeling or to replicate great behavior and lead people in a good direction. And then the third one's great because it's just, hey, there's nothing stopping me. You're not walking out the door in the morning saying, I hope things go my way. You're walking out the door saying, bring it on. We're going to figure it out. I was saying earlier, I got hired back during COVID, and I don't know if any of you remember COVID. It was somewhat of a depressing time. I used to go for long walks at the time. It was just I didn't know what else to do. I would get up early in the morning to go walk in the gloaming and mope or think big thoughts, stuff like that. Anyway, I was out one morning. It was like literally 5:30 in the morning. It was a kind of a foggy, just before sunup morning. And sure enough, it's trash day in our neighborhood, and I hear a trash truck's coming towards me. I say, oh great, it's COVID, I'm out here, it's depressing, and now a trash truck's coming. And the trash truck comes around the corner, it's noisy, I could smell it coming, and it wings around the corner, and back here on this back left corner, there is a lady wearing her reflective vest, and she's holding on with one hand to the truck, and on the other hand, she's waving and smiling the biggest smile. And this happened and hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, they were gone. I didn't even have a chance to smile or wave or anything. I said, I cannot believe there was a lady on the back of a trash truck at 5:30 in the morning waving and smiling. And I thought about that because I was just started with Multiview. I was thinking about all these more big picture philosophical things. On the rest of my walk, I was thinking, that was a really great thing that she's out with that type of an attitude in that type of a job. So I was getting towards the end of my walk, and I had given it a lot of thought, and I heard a trash truck coming again. And we have a lot of different companies that do it, so I was saying to myself, I hope it's that same trash truck. Please let it be the same trash truck. And sure enough, on the back end of my walk, truck comes around. It was the exact same truck. By the way, it was much uglier truck than this truck. It was a beat-up truck. I couldn't find a picture of a beat-up trash truck. This one's way too clean. But it didn't stop her. She comes around the corner again. She was exactly the same. It was as if she was in the Rose Parade, waving and smiling. This time I was ready for her. I waved and smiled, and I was almost home, so I went straight home, and I called the number of the trash company. And of course, the guy answered the phone, and he was extremely short with me. He seemed a little cranky, to be totally honest with you. I think most people don't call the trash company early in the morning except to tell you that they missed your trash, or they ran over my trash truck, or they hit my mailbox, or whatever they might do. Anyway, he answered the phone. I said, hey, listen, I was just out on a walk, and one of your trash trucks came by, and there's a lady on the back, and she's smiling and waving. I just got that much out. And he says, yeah, that's April. We get a lot of calls about her. All right, now do you see what a great thing this is? This lady is doing nothing but smiling and waving on the back of a trash truck, and it's such a lesson to people that they actually call the company to talk about it, and it's just awesome. So I really thought that this particular example is really a great example of all of the three questions at once, because she gave me a feeling, obviously a feeling I still remember. I'm telling you about it. She was a teacher because I'm thinking, gee whiz, if she can be happy on the back of that trash truck, I imagine I can be even ecstatic here at Multiview. I was happy at Multiview at the time anyway, it doesn't matter. But then lastly, she was just illustrating, the best day of my life. It doesn't matter where you are, it's what you do with where you are. And I know these are always the things that always catch you by surprise. When you see somebody in a situation where it seems like they have every reason to not be happy or to be miserable, like at the drive-thru at the McDonald's, but they just have it and they're giving it. And that's what April did. So April's pretty much famous now. I wish April could be on here to hear this talk, because that meant a lot to me, and I thought it was a really great example of what we talk about when we talk about the 3 questions. Just by the way, April, the guy at the trash company told me that April had lost her job over COVID, and so she had asked, or she had been furloughed, I guess, and her husband worked for the trash company too, so she just called up and said, "Can I come work there?" And she was actually had only been doing it for about a month at that time, but she was famous. Okay, next. Oh, here's a good little quote. This comes from William James. He's a psychologist from back in the late 1800s. Act as if what you do makes a difference. It does. This is just that idea. This is kind of the same idea. Every little thing you do can make a difference. When you think about, we'll use April as an example again. When you think of all her job really was to get paid hourly to stand on the back of the trash truck and I guess get the trash into the truck. But she went way beyond that, and those little things made a difference. And that's what we need to think about too. Obviously, this is very relevant when we talk about hospice, when we talk about the visit, we talk about each and every little detail of the visit. Every one of those little things are there for a reason, because each one of those things matters. Each one of them makes a difference. So William James said that back in the 1800s. I actually heard it from Steve at the coffee shop, but we don't want to get into that. Steve always has a good quote for me on Thursday mornings. A lot of my little quotes here are actual Andrew Reed quotes. We had a picture of Andrew earlier. The decision to own your attitude is the seed of progress and the start of growth. Okay, this is just the idea that once we decide and we have an organization where everybody's pointing each other, say, hey, your attitude's up to you. It's not what's happening to you, it's what you do with your attitude. It's not why I can't do something, but how can I do something? Or how can I make this work? This is the sign of a healthy organization. And these are the types of things that you'll hear in almost no matter what topic Andrew's speaking on any of his videos or when he's giving a talk here, he'll bring up these things all over and over again. Attitude, accountability, standards, systems, things like that. They're in everything because they're foundational to everything we teach. Okay, real quick, this is, I actually realized today that this is not everything we do. We have 2 critical services, benchmarking, which is how you kind of see where you are from a allocation of your expenditures, of your revenues within your organization. And then network, which is all of our best known practices, all of our content is in the network part of Multiview. Now, this particular talk today, I know a bunch of you are already clients of Multiview, and for you, this is just an encouragement to make use of everything that's available to you. For those of you who are not clients, a lot of these topics and a lot of these ideas are things you're going to be able to use. If you have interest in more of it, obviously we'll give you our number and stuff at the end of that. But this is all of value. But I was going to say that under network, we also do cost reports. I better mention cost reports because Troy is the cost report guru and he's in the audience. But we're good at, there's a lot of things we do, but the base 2 things are benchmarking and network. Benchmarking tells you where you are, and then network tells you, okay, what are we going to do about it? Real quick on benchmarking. Why benchmarking? It says here, a manager cannot have any legitimate claim of being a professional without the precise knowledge of the norms of quality and cost. You need to know, here's what we're spending as a percentage of our revenue. Here's what the average hospice spends. Are we high or low? For this one, Andrew always uses the example, if you're building a car building cars in Detroit and you're putting a bumper on your particular car, is that an average cost bumper? Is it a high cost bumper? Is it a very low cost bumper? It's not that you want to be average, but if you're going to spend a lot in that area, you need to have a reason. You need to know you're doing it and say, well, this is a competitive advantage and that's why we're spending more on the bumper and a little less over here. And that goes the same for hospice as well. So the beauty of benchmarking is that if you don't have benchmarking, it's hard to see what's really going on in your organization. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's money flowing into different areas. But what's really going on here? Well, with the glasses of benchmarking, you can find the elephant in the room. This is another homemade graphic. And again, I apologize, Bernie. I actually wanted this one done for many, many years. He's laughing over here. Don't worry. It's all in fun. but this particular, this particular one, see, I don't know if y'all saw this. See, it was indecipherable because we don't have the glasses of benchmarking, and then boom, wow, our pharmacy costs are way too high. Here's where we are, and here's where the average is, and this is a place we need to put a red circle around and figure out what are we doing wrong, what can we do differently in order to get ourselves in line. It's not just pharmacy, it could be your nurse salaries, your indirect costs, a lot of things like that. But really quickly, when you run a benchmark report, this is what you find out. You see that thing that's the thing that we can work on right off the bat. So, I mean, that's a catchy little slide, I think. The beauty of it is behind every number is a practice. So as we identify those things and we find those elephants and we put a red circle around them on our report, we get to say, all right, here's a problem or here's something we need to look at. What do we do about it? And that's where the rest of Multiview comes in. If you're a client, you and everyone on your staff has full access to our website. This is where all of our content is housed. These are PDFs and videos and audio files and Excel tools and all sorts of stuff are available to you through our website. And basically what our website's housing, it says down here, the best known practices of the 90th percentile. That's what Multiview's done from the start. We've been in business for 29, almost 30 years now, and all we've been doing as we work with different hospices is keep on the lookout for who's doing what better than anybody else. And when we see that, we steal it and we add it to our content. And that's what leads to the best known practices or the best known success patterns of the 90th percentile. And that's what we share with our clients. Because in that way, our clients don't have to learn these things the hard way or figure it out in any other way. We've seen it work. We know this works. Here it is. And that's an encouragement this is an encouragement to those of you who are clients, especially. Your entire staff is able to register on the website. So we think the more folks that get in there and start looking at these things and hearing these concepts and talking about, hey, maybe there's a better way to do things, then the better. One thing about our website, it's so full of content that a lot of times people find it hard to find the information in there. So for that, we have this PDF. It's called, we call it now the Resources for Key Frustrations. As you can see, back in the day, it was called Best Known Practices to Alleviate or Obliterate Key Frustrations. And originally, this particular brochure was it was a marketing piece, so that if somebody was wondering, what does Multiview do? We would give them this, and it would say, here's everything Multiview does. Here's all the stuff that we have that's related to the various frustrations that you're dealing with in hospice. But over time, we found that it actually works better as an index to the website because that's kind of how it's organized. It's organized in a way where when you open it up to the table of contents, it's got all these, common frustrations such as quality issues, financial woes, compensation system design, length of stay issues, things like that. So now you can use this PDF if you're a client or not. You can just request one of these, and if you're looking for something about, say you're working on quality, so you circle that, you click on that, and then that'll take you to the page that says, okay, here's everything that Multiview has to help you address those quality issues and to get those CAP scores up. This is an interesting slide. This is another quote that I grabbed from one of Andrew's talks. More money being spent does not increase quality. What increases quality is intention. This is basically a response to the idea that a lot of hospices, their knee-jerk reaction when they say we need to get our quality scores up is they say we just need to hire more nurses. And it is possible there are times where that is an answer or part of the answer. But in general, that is not the way Andrew or we teach here at Multiview, because we really feel like what's most important than anything else is to have intention, is to have directional correctness, to have a structure, to be pointing in the right direction, to make sure that people are doing things in a consistent way throughout the organization. And that's how you're going to increase your quality, much more than just automatically adding people. And that's what a lot of Multiview is about. It's about this idea of giving you that picture of a model of a great hospice and allowing you to keep heading in that direction. So like I said, what we've been doing in our 29 years is what are the outliers doing differently, what are the very best hospices doing differently, and then we've identified and systematized those best known practices or best known, what do we call them? Success patterns. We've just changed it from best known practices to best known success patterns. It's the same thing. Into okay, how can we share these things with our client hospices? And it says here, the model is just the intentional design of all the ways our hospice touches the external world. So we've singled out 3 specific ones here: perfect phones, perfect visits, revolutionary bereavement. I always thought I was very surprised when I got here and saw that we had an entire section on perfect phones. But the more that I think about it, the more I realize, boy, that really is a great opportunity for you to do something better than anybody else does. Because in my role here, I get to call a lot of hospices. A lot of hospice organizations, a lot of them you need to go through quite a number of prompts to get to a human, and then that human may not be exactly the person you need to talk to. So we've got a lot of stuff about the idea that when that phone rings, this could be the very first impression you're going to get a patient, a family member, a referral source is going to get of your hospice. And when they're done with that call and they hang up, you want them to think, I can't wait. When I need hospice, or if I need hospice, these are the people I'm going to deal with because I had such a great experience. So these are just some of the little things we look at to say, hey, how can we do this better? And a great thing for you to do today would be to call your own hospice and see what the experience is. Call your own hospice and just see how's that experience for you. And when you hang up the phone, is this an organization that you have confidence in, that you want to work with, that feels good? Anyway, the reason I have highlighted here perfect visits with perfect documentation of these 3 things that we focus on, this is the one that's probably made Multiview most famous and probably transformed more of our client hospices than any other, is this idea of a perfect visits with perfect documentation. Now, of course, when you go to your nurses and you say, hey, we're going to, and especially if you don't have any sort of a visit structure now, and you say, we're going to start doing perfect visits with perfect documentation, the first thing they're going to say is, how can I possibly do even one perfect visit? I don't have any perfect patients. I don't have any perfect families I'm dealing with. I don't have any perfect days in my own life. Well, as it says here, perfect is different. This type of perfect is different. This perfect is defined as to the standards set by the organization. So a perfect visit can be done in any environment because you're doing it in the way that the organization does it. In our fictitious hospice, the Sunny Day Hospice, you're doing it in the Sunny Day way. And if you go through that visit and you hit all those steps and you do everything the way we do it, when you leave, you've done the perfect visit and you've got the perfect documentation of that visit. Like I said, I hate to keep using COVID. COVID was a long time ago now, but back when I was learning these things about setting standards, holding people accountable, things like that, it was right during that time of COVID, where, remember that 2 weeks where they shut everything down? They shut down the big road that had all the fast food places on it, got shut completely. And then when they were able to open up, I remember going down the road, and the first place I saw was the Chick-fil-A. And the Chick-fil-A, on the day they could reopen, had double lines of drive-through around the building. It looked like nothing had happened. In fact, it looked like they looked busier than usual. Right next to the Chick-fil-A was a Burger King. This is nothing against Burger King, but the Burger King was boarded up. It looked like it was still in wartime. It wasn't even open, much less open for the drive-through. And I was looking at those 2 organizations. I don't know if every area of the country has access to Chick-fil-A, but you probably have access to some organization, some fast food place that does things a little bit better. I think Culver's is one of those too. Places like that where you get a consistent type of experience and you can tell that these folks, oh, they have standards. At Chick-fil-A, if I say thank you, they're going to say my pleasure. I've never read their standards, but I've been to Chick-fil-A enough to know that's what they say. In fact, if I go to Chick-fil-A and I say thank you and the kid doesn't say my pleasure, I say, hey, this kid's out of standard because I know it, because they do it consistently. So, so anyway, that's that on the, but at the same time this was happening, I was at Multiview. And of course, everything was shut down and you couldn't make visits in the home at that time. And at that time, we were sitting there with a perfect visit structure. And really quickly after COVID hit, we came out with a tremendous webinar called The Perfect Telehospice Visit. And it was highly attended, much more than this one, I'm sure. And it was run by Bill Taylor. And I was here when he was putting it together. And it literally took him half a day to put together this webinar, The Perfect Telehospice Visit. Why did it only take half a day to put together this revolutionary thing? It's because we already had the visit structure. We already had it. We just had to adjust it for this new thing. So just like Chick-fil-A, they had standards and a way of doing things, and they made adjustments. That's how easy it is when you've got an operation that's got standards, it's got systems in place. Then even when a big pandemic hits, all you have to do is make some minor adjustments, move on, and prosper. Every decision, this particular slide is kind of wedged in here, but it's something we can't not talk about at Multiview. Every decision we talk about within the hospice organization has to be made from the patient-family chair. How is this decision, how is this thing we're doing going to make the patient-family feel, and isn't that what they're going to remember about the care that we provided to them? So this is an old beat-up chair. As you can see, it's got a feeling chair band you can put over it. Bernie can send you some of those if you need any of those for your IDG meeting room. But anytime you're making decisions within the organization, anytime you're doing anything within the organization, you need to first sit in this chair and say to yourself, okay, how is this going to make our patient and family feel? That's central to everything. And that's basically how Andrew and a friend of his started their Malcolm Baldrige award-winning hospice. They just said, we're going to start from this chair and we're going to work out to how we organize that hospice and how we grow it into a successful and quality organization. Okay, this jumps us straight to the perfect visit. And we obviously in this format, we don't have time to really get into all the steps of the perfect visit. The one thing I want to point out at the top there, it says the goal of your visit is to make the caregiver the hero. Remember earlier we were talking about the three questions about being a teacher. This is a big paradigm shift for, particularly for nurses in hospice care, is the idea that the goal is to make the caregiver the hero. It's to teach the caregiver to give the care. You can see step number 6 on the first part is to breathe and remind yourself you're a teacher. I think nurses in general are fixers. They're people who want to come make people better, and that's an awesome thing. Thank God for that. And so they want to fix them, and then they want to leave, and then they want to come back and fix them again the next time. But this is a big paradigm shift, is for them to start thinking, okay, I'm here to do that care, and the care is critical, but the most important thing I'm here to do is to teach this caregiver to provide the care, because there's all that time in between visits where they're going to be the one who's going to have that responsibility. The next thing in our perfect visit here, every visit is a performance, energy up. Before I say that, I do want to say, when people, if you haven't been exposed to a visit structure, if you're allowing folks to do things in their own way, and you hand them this and say, hey, we're going to start doing this, it will be quite a shock to them. The first thing they're going to say is, this looks like a script. This makes me into a robot. And that's not really what this is at all. This literally is a structure. And when you look at some of these little steps, they're such small things to remind you of, such as eye level lean in. That just has to do with your posture when you're talking to a patient or to a caregiver, just to show your attention and to listen and to validate and match and things like that. So this is all structure. It's 30% of the visit, this structure. The other 70% is going to be that nurses or aides or social workers' professional judgment. And so there's a lot of room for individuality in there. It's just a matter that with the perfect visit, nothing's getting missed, that everything's getting hit every time. It says here every visit is a performance, energy up. As you can see, we have our visit broken down as if it's a dramatic event with backstage, grand entrance, then the middle part, grand exit, off stage. We had one of our clinical leader meetings here once, and there was a very nice clinical leader who stood up and asked Andrew, she said, I don't like this idea that every visit's a performance. I want to be genuine. I want to be myself. And you know, that sounded like such a good question. Like I was sitting there thinking, yeah, that is the way to go. And Andrew said, well, that sounds good, which was true. He said, but what if you're having a very, very bad day? What if you've got a lot going on in your own life? What if you've got huge things going on personally? Do you want to carry those things? Do you want to be genuine and carry those into this family situation? Or do you want to leave those in the car, take a deep breath, and go to the door and project warmth? And that's why this is called, why we talk about the perfect visit as a performance. Every visit's a performance, energy up. We also have here at the top, it says all these ones, these particular steps, all the ones that are highlighted in yellow are high emotional impact. So that means they give a big feeling. And then remember, the feeling is what folks remember. So a lot of these things are highlighted like that. It says here, the only thing caregivers will remember is how we made them feel. Okay, and so these are all big concepts. You look at this initially, 6 phases, 35 individual steps. How am I ever going to learn these things? We've got lots of ways to help. Training in the perfect visit. Bernie's got lots of image recall mechanisms that you can use through the course of the visit, so you don't always have to be going through this in your head, but you've got little cues that say, okay, here's what I do next. And you know, the beauty of the perfect visit that I've found is that the very good, the very excellent, experienced clinical case managers who get to see this for the first time, the first thing they'll probably say is, I don't need this, I'm good at this, and they are. But most of them will look at our perfect visit and they'll say, you know what, this is pretty much what I already do. This is how I do things already. It might be in a little different order, might be a few things here which actually are good ideas that I can add. And that's what's exciting about it. Now, you may have other nurses who look at it and they're completely overwhelmed by it. It's nothing like what they do. Well, those are the people that need that structure, because what we're looking for with the perfect visit is that every patient, every time, every patient, every time is getting the same high quality experience. It's not dependent on who walks through the door, because we're doing it the sunny day way and everybody's doing it the sunny day way. And that means we get a consistent result every time. So again, the perfect visit, act as if what you do makes a difference. It does. This is the same thing. Every little detail matters, and that's why we have all those details and steps in the perfect visit, so that nothing gets missed and so that everything is touched, and it's just, as I said, a great experience each time. Okay, this is very important, and of course through all multi-view teaching, Andrew talks about this all the time, setting standards and holding people accountable. What is a standard? A standard is not a goal, it's a norm. It's what you do every single time. So do not accept less than your standard, because if you accept less than your standard, it's just a suggestion. And if it's just a suggestion, people are going to go back to doing whatever is comfortable for them. And that's what leads you back to the, the wide road, what's comfortable. Ultimately, we also, a lot of times when people talk about the perfect visit or talk about implementing these standards, holding people accountable, people are concerned about losing folks. A lot of organizations get concerned about that. But ultimately, we've found that talented people are attracted to organizations with high standards. Most people, talented people, want to work in organizations where the standards are high, where they see that everybody's working to that standard, that they even have to work to learn. Hey, here's how we do things here, because this is why, because we care enough to do it. So that's just a reminder. This is not something to be afraid of, setting high standards. Actually, it's something to strive to. Another little quote, the ability to teach accountability effectively is the key determinant to organizational success. This is just typically Andrew's reminder that you want to be working with adults, not children. You want people to be able to accept maybe some feedback that may be not particularly positive, and not say, well, the dog ate my homework or this person didn't do that, but to say, hey, thank you for that. I appreciate that feedback, and I'm going to use this to do better next time. We want to be adults and not children. And that's, if you have an entire organization with people living out that type of an attitude, then you're going to have great results and a great place to be. Okay, so here's our road less traveled again. I said earlier that you had to eschew the easy button, but as you can see, once you get to the mountaintop, the easy button is there. The good news that is it exists, but it's after you do the hard work of setting the standards, setting up the systems, holding people accountable. At that point, then it's just a matter of continually, making sure that people are staying to the standards, and then you're in the position where when big things happen, you make minor adjustments and you move on. But it is good news that up there at the Extraordinary Hospice, you do get to easy someday, but the road up there can be windy and a little rocky. You basically have to have the gumption to say, that's where we're going. We're not going to settle for average. We're going to go to the top. Okay, here's a quote that I grabbed out of one of Andrew's videos that I told him I was going to use it. He said he didn't think it was that great an idea. I actually love this quote. Let's face it, almost everything we have here is ripped off from somebody else. And I think that's actually great, because you look at Andrew, you saw his picture earlier. He looks like a guru of sorts, and I fear that some people, if you just took it from that, you might think that maybe Andrew's a person who's sitting on top of a mountain and getting some sort of beams of light and getting his inspirations in some other way. Andrew's not like that at all. He's an accountant. He's a pragmatic individual. And everything that we have here at Multiview, everything that we share with our clients is stuff that we've seen work over and over and over again. And that's the beauty of being here, is that when folks do call us, where our clients or non-clients call us and ask us, hey, what do you do in this situation? What's the best practice in this way? When we pass that information on, we do it with great confidence, because we know it works. We've seen it work in real life over and over again. Okay, our original quote, we must all face the choice between what is right and what is easy. There's actually more to that quote, believe it or not. This is that Dumbledore quote. We must all face the choice between what is right and what is easy. But remember this, you have friends here, you're not alone. That's Multiview. That's why we're here. We're here to help you do what's right, help point you that direction, help support you in every way, and get you to where you want to be as a hospice. And we see that as we do that, as I said earlier, what an awesome opportunity we're going to have to make an impact through you guys, through your patients, families, your organizations. It's an honor. It's an honor to work with you all. And obviously in the actual quote, they were talking about, what's the name of that school?
Hogwarts.
Yeah, Hogwarts. I just substituted in Multiview for Hogwarts in that case. Okay, all right, coming up, this is the winding down here, but these are important. We've got one more tough training this year coming up October 22nd, 23rd. That's 3 weeks from tomorrow. We've got a new venue. This is a picture of Andrew in our new venue, the Japan House. This is a couple months ago. And these things are such a great opportunity for you to get yourself orientated, to work on this directional correctness, to understand all these things we're talking about today. Obviously, virtual things are great, but being there in person with your peers, talking to Andrew directly and other folks from Multiview, helping you through these ideas, it's just truly a transformational opportunity. We've got a few spaces left. Please call us up. Let us know. We'll get you on the list, and we'll get you in there for the CEO retreat. Again, it's 3 weeks from tomorrow. It's here in Flat Rock, North Carolina. It'll be beautiful that time of year, and it'll be an experience that you will look back on and you won't forget, as far as the what it means to you, but not only your own career, but to the direction of your hospice organization. Okay. And then this is always the last slide I use typically. I talk about Multiview as being kind of like Planet Fitness for your hospice. This is because the monthly cost of Multiview is really quite reasonable, very low. And you know, we are sitting here we've got all of our clients, and we've got all these machines sitting here, and we've got people behind the desk to help get your program together. You come in and say, I want to work on this, I want to work on that. Oh, you're going to want to do this, you're going to do that, and we send you over there. And if you do that, it's going to make a huge impact. It's a very positive thing. Beyond that, if you need special help, we've got our Magic program, which is like the personal trainer at Planet Fitness. And those are people who we have that can come out to your on-site and help you implement, say, the perfect visit, or implement some of these different ideas within your own organization. So we've got that particular opportunity for you as well. If you at some point want some objective third-party help and you need somebody on site and you think that'll help you get to where you want to be, we've got people to do that as well. But I do like this because ultimately the main thing is you've got to show up. These gyms, they're a bargain if you show up. It's also why I hesitate to use this example, because I think almost everybody in the world has joined a gym and quit it. You don't go for a period of time and you say, gee whiz, it's cheap, but if I'm not going, what's the point? So that's what I want to do with this particular slide, is encourage you. If you've got access to Multiview, please use it. That's really why we're here. We get so much positive energy of seeing clients who really grab onto what we're teaching and use it and turn their organizations into award-winning organizations that are making such an impact in their various communities. So anyway, again, CEO Tough Training is coming up 3 weeks. Call us about that. If you want some extra help or want to ask more about our personal trainer or Magic program, please get with us on that. This is our last slide. This is our phone number. Our phone will be answered in 3 rings by a happy, helpful person. This is one of our standards. So we teach perfect phones to you guys, but we also practice perfect phones here at Multiview. We hope that, and to be honest with you, we have had people, our hold music is so interesting. We've had people ask to put them back on hold just to rehear the theme from Green Acres or whatever it is that day. But we put a lot of thought into the fact that when you call us up, that we want this to be an experience that's positive and one that makes you want to call us up the next time. So anyway, please do that. Also, you can get with us through our website as well. I think that's it. Well, no, look, I accidentally slipped in one more picture of little Fischer, my grandson, but this is just a reminder that the future is bright. But again, the key thing to remember from today's talk is just this idea of right versus easy, about doing those things that set the standards and hold folks accountable to get you to where you want to be, as opposed to just doing what's comfortable and ending up with the herd. Okay, well, that's all we had for today. I hope you guys got something out of it. Really appreciate you taking your time to be here with us. You mean so much to us, and we just thank you for all you do. And anything we can do to help, we want to be here for that. If you have any questions unanswered, reach out to us through phone or email, and we will get those to you.
We hope you are having the best day of your life. If you need something further, just visit one of the Multiview Incorporated websites or contact us through social media. Smoke signals, carrier pigeons, telepathy have not proven reliable. All calls are answered within 3 rings by a competent, real person. Thank you for listening.